Hello YouTube and welcome to yet another video. As you might have suspected, we've spent the better part of the last 24 hours playing Cyberpunk 2077, and we wanted to make this video telling you what our first impressions were about possibly the most awaited game of the year. But before continuing, today more than ever, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and hit the bell, as we've got tons of Cyberpunk 2077 content and so much more coming your way. Leave us a like and comment what you want to see from us in the Night City. And again, thank you for your support. Well, finally, we've been waiting for months for Cyberpunk 2077, and 100 gigabytes later, we're finally able to open the game from CD Projekt Red. Even after all the hype, our first impressions were quite good, and yes, we're completely biased after the work they did on The Witcher 3, a game that raised the bar for what every game should be. That said, we're going to go deep on everything because hey, we know our fam and what they want are details. We played the PlayStation 4 version, for which we already downloaded the famous and heavy patch available on day one, which seems to have fixed a lot of bugs because we haven't seen any yet, at least none so obvious. A lot of reviewers had the game for PC for some time already and they complained a lot about these bugs. But CD Projekt Red had already said that this patch would fix a lot of the initial problems. So, we don't think it's fair to mention the bugs if you know they'll be fixed. As a game reviewer, it doesn't encourage feelings of trust if you don't mention that you're using a version that isn't the final one the user will be. So moving past that, the first thing we want to emphasize in this review is the action in the game. Honestly, we were kind of skeptical about this as the game is an RPG. Would they get this right? Well, the answer is yes. It was clear in the trailers that it seemed that it was going to be spectacular. But it would not be the first time the trailers promise one thing and then what we see has no relation or resemblance in any way in the final game. But in this case, it's completely the opposite. Not only is it awesome as hell, but it's even better than what we saw in the first videos. It's wild, action-packed movie-type gameplay that on occasions goes beyond just being an RPG and sometimes feels like a really well done FPS. There are all kinds of weapons, smart ones that shoot controlled bullets, technological weapons, weapons that we can implant into ourselves. There's a great variety depending on the type of assassin you want to be. Pro tip, we advise you that whenever you can go full attack mode, you should, because the stealth mechanism is not something that we've fallen in love with. We had high hopes for it, and it's been one of the small disappointments we have with Cyberpunk 2077. As for leveling up to gain improvements in weapons and dexterity, it has to be said that it's quite easy, and this is something that has us, in quotes, disappointed because we expected something a little more challenging. It is clear that here they were very ambitious and wanted us to tackle a lot, but inevitably they were going to fall short in some things, and for us, this is it. But hey, if you like action, you'll like it anyway. We just found it to be a bit basic. One of the things we put a lot of emphasis on was the map and what Night City itself has in store. And yeah, we aren't disappointed with this. What they've done in Night City deserves an award itself, because not only is it something that we've never seen before, but wherever you are and wherever you look, there'll always be something that catches the eye. A special story, a small detail somewhere, any of which will surprise you. It is as attractive as it is dangerous and has a number of NPCs that in graphics and details are made almost the same as the protagonists of the game. The lighting in Night City is based mostly on neons and striking colors, to which we are drawn to as a moth to a flame. Unfortunately, we are playing on PlayStation 4, so if we compare it with the people who are playing it on PC with optimal ray tracing conditions, yeah, there's no comparison. But don't worry if you have the PlayStation 4, because it's just as great. If we hadn't seen the same thing on PC, it would still surprise us. Moving on, what about the story? Well, we really like the script of the game, not only because of its main story, which we don't want to tell you too much about because this is a spoiler-free review. But it's all the side stories and missions. There's so many NPCs who want to get your attention, and when you talk to them, the dialogue is deep, like a Philosophy 101 class. There aren't any dialogues that force you to listen, but that give you a feeling of how CD Projekt Red paid attention to the smallest details. The plot has a frenetic pace. There is no time to get bored at any time. Some of the secondary missions are somewhat decaffeinated, but the main is brutal. The main campaign they say will last about 37 hours. We've been playing for around 8, but we're not worried at all because there are a lot of secondary missions that will make us spend even more time in the city, and in addition, they've already confirmed that in January, more content will begin to arrive. Also, since you can have 3 different pasts, you can play it at least 3 times. Although the missions are the same or change minimally, your past will be key, so the details of the story will be completely different. The missions are received through calls on phone, and so much so that it seems we're working in a call center because sometimes they arrive at the same time, which can sometimes be really disturbing. Through them, you'll meet many of the characters, which was honestly a bit forced, because we can only interact with them if we answer those calls and not in a natural way. As for characters compared with The Witcher 3, it's true that there are quite a few less, especially secondary characters. But that is simply because the story is shorter and do not rule out including more of them as the updates come out. One of the mechanics they emphasized from the beginning was the decision making that affects the story. In any dialogue, your answers can influence everything, whether it's the course of the story, the main mission you have to do, future interactions with characters that you may get along with badly or well, depending on what you say, in relationships, and so on. And to finish, the first thing you will do in Cyberpunk 2077, the creation of your character. It's cool, as well as being a lot of fun, because it is true that you can literally change anything you want. You can spend a lot of time in this first section because it offers a lot of possibilities until you find your ideal avatar. What do you want to play as? Tell us in the comments. Summarizing, Cyberpunk 2077 is an evolutionary leap for CD Projekt Red. It is a game in which they wanted to change everything they had been doing previously and play a lot with the first-person perspective. And also as an experiment. Yeah, there are bugs and there are things that could get better, but there will be patches to clean up and improve the game as time goes along. Also, as time goes along, CD Projekt Red will get loads of feedback from the players. We know that many of you want us to give it a grade, and from Zoomin Games we give it an 8. We do not want to give it a 10 because we haven't finished it yet. So it would seem like a mistake to give a final grade without having played it to completion and without discovering the large number of mechanics and progress that awaits us as we go through the game. But rest assured that next week we will make a final review in which we will give the final score. Over to you now. Have you played it? Have you already seen any gameplay? What do you think about it? As always, tell us in the comments if the game is meeting your expectations, and don't be that guy and drop any spoilers, as there are many of us who've been waiting a long time to be able to enjoy this game firsthand. So let's be nice, guys. If you enjoyed the video, smash that like button and let us know what you'd like to see in terms of content from Cyberpunk 2077. We'll do our best to see it through. Now, go get to gaming, guys, and we'll catch you in the next one.